Have you ever noticed that there are days when all it takes is one wrong word, a piece of bad news, or a dirty look for everything inside you to crumble, as if your peace were something fragile, easy to break? Well, yes. But what if I told you there was a way to shield your mind of all this? A way so powerful that after understanding what I'm going to reveal to you here, no one, absolutely no one, will be able to steal your peace, your energy, or your confidence ever again. In the next few minutes, you'll discover something most people spend their entire lives without understanding. A simple secret, yet so profound, it changes the way you deal with everything. Fear, stress, debt, the chaos around you, and even the people who try to bring you down. You'll understand how have control over yourself is true power, the kind of power that attracts prosperity, money, and opportunity because your mind stops vibrating in despair and begins to operate in calm, clarity, and strength. This video isn't just another self-help talk. It's a game changer. You'll learn to stop reacting, wearing yourself out, and letting the world control you. You'll discover the exact point where your peace is born, and how, when you master it, nothing outside affects you. Get ready, because what comes next will make you see life in a way that no one has ever explained to you. After today, your peace will no longer be something you seek, and will become something no one can take away from you. Now you understand why nothing and no one will be able to take away your peace. This content opened your mind, gave you clarity, and put control of your life in your hands. So it makes sense to continue surrounding yourself with messages that strengthen this new version of yourself, calmer, more confident, and prosperous. Show gratitude for this awakening. Like and subscribe to the channel to continue receiving content that elevates your mind and puts you on the right path to prosperity and inner peace. Today you've begun a new phase, and the next step begins in the next video. You know when it feels like the whole world is against you? When something goes wrong and suddenly everything seems to fall apart, your mood changes, your day gets heavy, and any misplaced word becomes a reason to lose control? It's at these times that we realize how fragile our peace is. And the curious thing is that it's not shattered by major tragedies, but by small things. A comment, a delay, someone acting differently than we expected. What almost no one realizes is that it's not what happens that takes away our peace. It's how we react. It's our mind creating stories, judgments, comparisons, and making us believe that everything should be our way. How many times have you found yourself replaying a situation in your mind, like a movie on repeat, trying to understand why someone did that? And in the end, what does it change? Nothing. It just saps your energy and leaves you further away from the tranquility you so desperately seek. The truth is, what robs you of peace isn't people, nor work, nor traffic. It's constant desire to control what cannot be controlled. And that, my friend, is the biggest energy thief there is. While you try to fix everything around you, life keeps showing you one way or another that there are things that are simply not in your control. But calm down. That's not a problem. In fact, it's liberating, because the moment you understand that you no longer need to fight against what doesn't depend on you is the exact moment peace begins to return. It's like releasing a weight you didn't even realize you were carrying. When you accept that you can't please everyone, nor can you predict what will happen, something changes within you. You stop wasting energy on what's outside of you and start investing energy in what truly matters, in you, in your balance, in your response. It's funny, because most people believe that peace is when everything is fine. But it's not. Peace is when, even if everything is a mess outside, you can maintain silence inside. It's when you realize that life will continue to happen, with ups and downs, difficult people, unexpected events, and that your power lies in choose not to react. This is more powerful than any meditation, because it's a state of awareness. You stop being a puppet of circumstances and become an observer of what happens. You might think, but it's impossible not to get angry, not to get hurt, not to be affected. It's true, no one becomes a rock. The difference is that when you understand this, anger comes and goes, fear appears and passes, but you no longer hold on to them. It's like watching a storm from inside your house. You see the rain fall, hear the thunder, but know you're safe. Life is full of storms, and the secret isn't to run from them, but to learn not to get wet inside. And here's an important thing. The world will always test your peace. Always. When you start to grow stronger, It seems like the universe sends you tests just to see if you've truly learned. Someone provokes you, a plan goes awry, someone disappoints you, and that's when you realize if you're reacting as before or if you're growing. Because every time you choose to remain silent when you could explode, every time you choose to breathe instead of complaining, something inside you changes. It's as if your soul says, "Now you get it." The most interesting thing is that when you change, the environment changes. People realize they can no longer affect you in the same way, and this disarms any attempt at emotional manipulation. True peace is a form of power, and those with inner power don't need to prove anything to anyone. It's like walking around in invisible armor. Others talk, criticize, provoke, but nothing touches you. And best of all, you start attracting the opposite, lighter situations, more balanced people, opportunities that match this new vibe. So, I want you to comment below the word peace. Write this word with intention as a commitment, because every time you affirm something, your mind registers it. And this simple gesture can be the first step to completely changing the way you react to life. But there's something even deeper that almost no one realizes. True peace doesn't just come from accepting what you can't control. It comes from understanding what's really going on inside your mind when you lose your balance. And that's where most people go wrong. Because while trying to fix the world, they forget to observe themselves. And that's exactly what you'll understand next. You know that relief you feel when you stop fighting life. When you finally understand that not everything has to go the way you imagined. That's what we're talking about now, the art of not resisting. And no, this doesn't mean giving up, lowering your head, or letting others walk all over you. It means stopping wasting energy fighting the inevitable. Because, deep down, what makes us suffer most is resistance. It's wanting people to change, for the past to be different, for time to move faster, for everything to happen at our own pace. But life has its own time, and when you try to force it, it drags you along. Think about it. How many times did something go wrong and days later, did you realize that it actually saved you from a bigger problem? How many times was a no the best thing that could have happened, even if at the time it seemed like a disaster? Yes, it is. But while we resist, we suffer, because resisting is trying to control what doesn't depend on us. It's swimming against the current, shouting at the wind, fighting with what already is. When you understand this and let go of control, life begins to fall into place. Everything seems to flow. The things that once irritated you lose their power, and what once hurt you begins to lose its meaning. The secret is in accept the present moment, even when it's not what you wanted. It's not about conforming. It's about understanding that every time you fight reality, you're the one who loses, because what already is. Pain only exists because you want something to be different than it is, and that's the greatest mental prison there is. When you learn to say okay, even to the unexpected, you discover a strength no one told you existed, because acceptance doesn't weaken you, it frees you. It's like water. It doesn't try to change the stone's path. It flows around it. It doesn't argue. It doesn't force. It just flows. And in the end, it's always the water that wins, because over time it wears down even the toughest obstacle. This is what being like water is all about, adapting without losing your essence. When you learn to flow, life stops being a battlefield and becomes a path you walk with ease. And the curious thing is that when you stop fighting, things start to work out on their own. It's as if the universe says, "Finally, you get it. Now I can work in your favor." The art of not resisting isn't something you learn overnight. It's a practice. It's taking a deep breath when everything inside you wants to react. It's staying silent when pride wants to respond. It's smiling when the plan changes and thinking, maybe this has a purpose too. It's remembering that what seems like the end can be just the beginning of something bigger. When you practice this, you begin to realize that nothing hits you as hard as it once did. And this feeling of lightness is addictive. You realize that the world can be in chaos, and yet within you there is silence. Now think with me, what would happen if you lived like this every day, without the need to control, without fear of the future, without getting worn out by little things? That would be a freedom no amount of money can buy, because you would no longer be reacting to the world, you would be living with it. That is true strength, being at peace even when everything changes. And perhaps you still wonder, but how do I live like this? without falling into the mind's traps, without constantly resisting. Calm down, because that's exactly what we're going to talk about next, about the invisible game that life is playing with you, and that, without realizing it, you've been trying to win in a completely wrong way. Have you ever noticed how most people live as if they're participating in a never-ending competition? Everyone's trying to prove something, chase goals, earn respect, recognition, money, and in the midst of it all, forgetting the most important thing, life itself. It's like we're playing all the time but without understanding the rules. The truth is that life, it's a game, but no one taught you how to play the right way. And that's why so many people suffer. Most are trying to win, but the secret is in learn to play. The biggest trap is thinking there's an arrival, a final point where you'll finally feel complete, at peace and secure. When I have enough money, when I buy my own house, when everyone respects me. But that when never arrives, because as soon as you achieve one thing, your mind invents another. And it's this cycle that keeps you trapped in a constant feeling of lack. It's like chasing a horizon. The more you run, the further it recedes. And then life passes you by, and you, without realizing it, are just running, not really living. Alan Watts said something powerful about this. Life is not a problem to be solved. It's a dance to be danced. And how profound is that? No one dances to get somewhere. You dance because you like the music, because you feel the rhythm, because the movement makes sense in itself. When you understand that life is like this, everything changes. You start to enjoy the process, instead of living tensely waiting for the result. You stop taking everything so seriously, demanding so much of yourself, and discover that lightness is not a lack of responsibility. It is emotional intelligence. How many times have you found yourself so focused on winning that you forgot to enjoy the journey? Have you noticed how the pursuit of control, perfection, and approval exhausts you? It's because playing to win puts you in a constant state of tension. Everything becomes a competition. Who has more? Who does better? Who is more loved, more admired, happier? And this constant comparison is the poison of peace. Because there will always be someone with something you don't yet have. There will always be a new standard, a new goal, a new challenge. Playing to win is the quickest way to lose the joy of life. Now, when you shift your focus and start playing, by the simple act of playing, everything changes. You begin to experience life with curiosity, humor, and detachment. Mistakes become learning experiences. Challenges become part of the story. Nothing weighs so heavily anymore because you understand that experience is what matters. The results come naturally, without so much effort, without so much tension. And the most interesting thing is that when you stop playing to win, life begins to reward you without you having to chase them. Doors open, the right people appear, and money flows more easily because you stop focusing on scarcity and start focusing on fluidity. This is the game of life no one told you about. When you let go of the burden of needing to prove something, everything starts to work. And that's why so many people who seem lucky have actually only learned to play lightly. While some force, others flow. While some control, others trust. And in the end, those who live best aren't the smartest, the richest, or the strongest. It's those who understand the invisible rules of the game. But here's a point few people realize. Even when you begin to understand this game, there's a part of your mind that tries to sabotage you. An inner voice that criticizes, compares, demands, and makes you doubt. It's this voice that takes you out of the present and drags you back to fear and anxiety. And that's what the next part is about. How to silence that voice and discover the power of just notice without letting yourself be dominated. Have you ever noticed how your mind never stops? It's like a radio playing constantly, with thoughts, judgments, memories, and worries competing for space inside you. This voice that talks non-stop, that criticizes, compares, and creates scenarios, is what keeps you trapped in suffering. And what almost no one understands is that you are not that voice. You are the one listening to it. And that's where one of the greatest powers you can awaken begins, the power to observe without judging. In practice, this means starting to notice what's going on inside your mind without getting emotionally involved. When a negative thought appears, instead of letting it get the better of you, you simply observe, there it is again. It's like watching a movie. You're watching, but you know you're not the character. The difference is that when you identify with your mind, everything becomes personal. Any comment hurts, any mistake embarrasses you, any challenge feels like the end of the world. But when you start observing, it's as if you gain an invisible shield. You feel it, but you don't drown. Consider a simple situation. Someone criticizes you. Before it would bother you for days. You'd create 1,000 justifications, get irritated, and rehearse responses in your head. Now, when your consciousness awakens, you simply realize, my mind wants to react. And suddenly, the criticism loses its weight. Because the problem was never what the other person said. It was how you believed the inner voice that repeated, you're not good enough. When you learn to observe, your mind loses its power to control you. You stop being a hostage to your thoughts and start being their commander. And that changes everything. Suddenly, life becomes lighter, because you understand that not every thought deserves attention, that not every emotion needs a response. That feeling angry, afraid or anxious isn't a problem. The problem is believing that you are. Observing without judgment is like cleaning a window. The world remains the same, but now you see clearly. You realize that peace comes not from changing what's outside, but from changing how you see what's inside. When you practice this, even difficult situations take on new meaning. Instead of thinking, why is this happening to me? You begin to see, why is this happening now? This simple exchange of words shifts your vibration. You stop seeing yourself as a victim and start seeing yourself as a learner. And the more you observe, the more you realize that life is always trying to show you something. Sometimes it's to strengthen you. Other times it's to teach you to let go. But there's always a reason. And that's where one of the greatest secrets of inner peace comes in. Constant observation. Because the more you practice, the more you realize that the world doesn't change. It's how you react that changes. The noise remains, but you find silence amidst it. People remain unpredictable, but you don't let it shake you. Chaos still exists, but you don't let it consume you. You begin to choose the battles that are worth your energy, and more often than not, you discover you don't need to fight. It's a process. At first it seems impossible. Your mind will constantly try to pull you back, but over time, you'll find yourself reacting less, breathing more, and laughing at situations that once made you furious. This is proof that your consciousness is awakening. And when it awakens, peace ceases to be a temporary state and becomes a lifestyle. Now think how much your life would change if you could live like this every day, observing without getting caught up, feeling without getting lost. This is where true freedom begins. But to get there, there's a next step. Learn to let go of control and trust. And that's exactly what you'll understand next, because without this surrender, the mind takes over again and the peace you found begins to slip through your fingers. Letting go of control is perhaps one of the hardest things a human being can learn. We've always been conditioned to believe we need to have everything under control. The future, people, destiny, money, love. From a young age, we're taught that being responsible means holding the reins of life. But in practice, this becomes a huge burden, because the more you try to control everything, the more you realize that almost nothing really depends on you. And that's when frustration, anxiety, and fear begin. The truth is hard but liberating. Life doesn't need your control. It needs your trust. Think about how many times you've stressed yourself out trying to make things happen your way. How many nights you've lost sleep planning, reviewing, putting pressure on yourself, imagining 1,000 scenarios. And what changed? Most of the time, nothing. Or worse, the result was completely different from what you expected. Life has a curious way of showing that control is an illusion, and the more you fight to hold on to things, the more they slip through your fingers, because control is based on fear, and fear attracts exactly what you want to avoid. Letting go of control is not abandoning responsibility. It is understanding that there are forces acting beyond your understanding, that sometimes delay is protection, rejection is redirection, and silence is a response. When you trust this flow, things start to happen naturally. It's like when you enter the sea. If you try to swim against the current, you get tired and almost drown. But if you relax and let the wave carry you, you discover that the water sustains you. Life works the same way. It carries you, as long as you stop fighting it. But the mind hates this. It wants guarantees, it wants predictions, it wants certainty. So when things don't go as planned, despair sets in. But that's precisely where growth happens. When you learn to trust, even without understanding. Because true faith isn't believing when everything is fine, it's remaining calm when nothing makes sense. It's looking at the chaos and saying, even so, I know something good is brewing. And that trust changes everything. Your body relaxes, your mind slows down, and you begin to act with more clarity, no longer out of fear, but with direction. Have you ever noticed that the best things in life are almost never planned? The job that came from an unexpected conversation, the person you met by chance, the moment that seemed bad but opened a new door. It's as if the universe always knew the way, but we insist on doubting it. When you let go of control, you allow life to surprise you. And the most amazing thing is that it always surprises for the better. Because when you stop trying to push the pieces on the board, the game starts moving on its own. This is where everything changes. Anxiety turns into peace, fear into confidence, effort into fluidity. You begin to understand that the timing of things is not your timing, and everything that happens has a purpose, even when it's not yet visible. It's like planting a seed. You don't need to dig up the soil every day to see if it's growing. You just need to trust that the process is happening, even in the dark, even in silence. This is what faith is, acting with tranquility, knowing that the invisible is working in your favor. And the curious thing is that the more you trust, the more everything falls into place. The right people appear, opportunities flow, money arrives more easily, because control creates blocks, and trust creates space. It's in this space that miracles happen. Life doesn't need you to fight, it needs you to allow. And when you understand this, peace ceases to be a moment and becomes a permanent state. He knows that everything is okay, even when it doesn't seem like it. Write the word here in the comments, trust, not as an automatic gesture, but as a declaration. I trust the process, because that's the turning point. It's when you stop forcing and start flowing. But there's one important detail, a secret that connects everything you've learned so far. And it's in the place where life truly happens, the present moment. That's where true peace resides, and that's what the next part is about. Living in peace isn't about being free from problems. It's about knowing how to deal with them without getting lost in the chaos. But there's something few people understand. True peace only exists when you learn to live in the now. And it's not that cliched live in the moment talk you've heard 1,000 times. It's something much deeper. It's about realizing that the only real moment in your life is this one. What's happening right now as you breathe, read, and feel. Everything else is a mental construct. The past is over. The future hasn't yet begun. And your mind, constantly jumping from one to the next, is what steals your peace of mind every day. Notice how your mind is always caught between regrets and worries. One part keeps replaying what's already happened, blaming yourself, trying to understand why it went wrong. The other part constantly creates scenarios of fear and anxiety about what's yet to come. And all the while, the only moment when you can truly do something, the present, is ignored. It's as if you hold a treasure in your hands, but you keep looking to the past with longing and the future with fear, without realizing the value of what you have now. Peace is not in remembering nor in foreseeing. It is in being. When you begin to anchor yourself in the present, things take on a new rhythm. Mental noise subsides, decisions become clearer, and life seems simpler. Because the now is the only place where you have the power to act. It's in the now that you change your thoughts, your emotions, your attitudes. It's in the now that transformation happens. But the mind is addicted to movement. It needs to be thinking about something to feel in control. And that's why it's so difficult to be present. But when you realize this, you take the first step toward mastering your inner world. Living in the now is a practice. It's choosing to be aware of every little thing, the sound, the breath, what you feel in your body, what's around you. It's realizing that each moment is a gift that never returns. When you eat, you truly eat. When you talk to someone, you truly listen. When you work, you truly surrender. And this kind of presence creates something powerful, focus. And focus brings results, whether it's inner peace, prosperity, or personal fulfillment. Because a present mind is a mind that creates, not a mind that merely reacts. The most interesting thing is that when you are fully present, no one can take you off track anymore. They might try to provoke you, but you don't fall into the trap. They might speak ill of you, but you don't flinch. Because to disturb your peace, they would need to drag you into their mind game, and you're no longer playing. Being present is the strongest shield there is. It's the point where nothing controls you, not people, not situations, not thoughts. You simply observe, understand, and decide how to act. And that changes everything. And you know what's even more impressive? When you learn to live like this, everything starts to fall into place. Things flow, money comes more easily, relationships become more balanced, and even your body feels lighter. Because stress and anxiety disappear when the mind understands that now is enough. You stop chasing a perfect tomorrow and start building that tomorrow with the calm energy of being present today. And this is what the masters have always tried to teach. The power of the present moment is the gateway to prosperity, abundance, and true peace. Now think with me. What if there's an even deeper level to this state? Something that goes beyond simply living in the now. Something that connects your presence with the invisible force that guides everything that happens in your life? In the next step, you'll understand how this presence transforms into creative power. And that's when your reality truly begins to change. Now you feel it. Something inside you has shifted. The content of this video opened a new perception, brought lightness, and showed you a real path to living in peace, even when everything seems to be falling apart. You understood that control, fear, and resistance were what kept you from the tranquility you always sought. And from today on, what once destabilized you begins to lose its strength, because now you know where true power lies, within you. And if this transformation has already begun here, imagine what's to come. The next videos will take you even deeper, revealing teachings that not only maintain your peace, but also attract prosperity, clarity, and balance in all areas of your life. Show gratitude for this awakening. Like and subscribe to the channel to continue receiving content that strengthens this new version of you, calmer, more conscious, more prosperous, and write the word in the comments "can" to seal what was activated within you today. Because what comes next will prove to you that when the mind is still, the entire universe begins to work in your favor.